Please be aware, in this podcast series we talk about all areas of safeguarding, which some people may find upsetting. So please make sure you're okay listening to today's topic. Be mindful of those around you, such as children, that you might not want to listen in. Hi, I'm SSS Safeguarding Director Sam Preston.
And I'm former head teacher and content author Sarah Spinks.
Welcome back to Safeguarding Conversations. Today we're discussing something really important for schools at this particular time of year. That's the role of the Designated Safeguarding Lead, or DSL, as the new academic year begins. So September is such a pivotal moment for DSLs because it's not just about ensuring the compliance, it's about setting the whole tone for safeguarding in the school. So let's start with the basics. If you're a DSL and you're walking into school this September, so what's the first thing really that needs to be on your list, Sarah?
Training. Always training. At the start of term, you need to make sure all staff have had their refresher safeguarding training and that new staff and governors have gone through a proper induction. So that means part 1 of Keeping Children Safe in Education 2025 or Annex A, depending on their role, plus all the school-specific policies. And it's vital to set the expectation straight away that safeguarding is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely, that makes so much sense. So, okay, we've done that. Once our training's done, it's also about being available and visible, isn't it?
Exactly. So staff need to know not just who the DSL and deputies are, but how to find them. So your photo, name, contact details should be on notice boards, in planners and in parents' newsletters. We also used to have them on the back of toilet doors at my last school. It's also powerful to be visible in assemblies, staff briefings, just showing people that you're approachable.
And I'm just going to throw in there as well, because we often put together information packs, don't we, for visitors to school and for contractors. And we often say, if you've any concerns, speak to Mr. or Miss So-and-so, our DSL. And you think, well, they're not going to have a clue who these people are or where to find them. So it's important that that information is also in those kind of contractual things as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So I like that. So we've got that whole visibility, that really builds that trust and ensures everybody knows who they can call. I mean, obviously you can speak to senior leaders as well, but it's so important that they know who the DSLs and the deputies are. What about the kind of paperwork side of things? What should they be doing?
Yeah, well, September's the perfect time to review policies. The safeguarding child protection policy should be updated to reflect the latest KCSIE and ratified by governors. And alongside that, review the whistleblowing procedures, those low-level concerns reporting, safer working practice, and your online safety policy. But it's not just, again, about compliance. Staff need to really understand these documents.
And they really, really do. And there's one thing I would just throw in as well. You should also, I know we're really focusing on September and the start of the academic year, but not to forget that the safeguarding statutory guidance that guides multi-agency practice, which includes everybody working in schools, that's updated in December every year. So you have to be aware, again, when the latest version of that document comes out, just to check, is there anything in there that's being changed, or anything that's been added? It's not just about amendments that you may need to just do a quick update to your policies, and you need to make sure that staff are aware of that.
So that's working together to safeguard children.
Working together to safeguard children. Yep. So that's December. So just one to put a little note on the 1st of December. Watch out for the publication and do a quick check. There's something also that I think often gets overlooked, and that's reconnecting with vulnerable pupils.
Absolutely. You know, I think within the first 2 weeks, DSLs, they should be checking in with those children who've already flagged as having safeguarding concerns.
Yeah.
So just a quick conversation can make a huge difference. You want to carefully review new pupils as well. You know, sometimes risks emerge early. Uh, and if external agencies are involved, re-establish contact straight away. Don't forget parents too. So that early communication, that really does help to build that continuing trust.
And also, I'm just thinking as well, you may have pupils transferring in from other schools where concerns are known, and that obviously that paperwork has, there's a legal requirement for that paperwork to accompany the child in whatever shape or form that happens these days. So again, it's about reviewing that as well. That's got to be done, and you will need to obviously contact their social workers to engage as well. So that, I mean, it's really leading us nicely on to collaboration here, isn't it? Because safeguarding never sits in isolation.
No, absolutely. So I think early meetings with the Senko, the designated mental health lead, sometimes called the senior mental health lead, and the teacher for looked after children are vital. You know, and then review all your child protection, child in need, and early help plans. It's about making sure the school is fulfilling its responsibilities in each one.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. So let's talk about online safety, Sarah, because it's constantly evolving and we've had a lot of change with guidance from government and the bill. There's kind of like timelines for things that are going to come in. It's not just that everything just didn't become a statutory requirement straight away, isn't it? So it's something that we've got to keep on top of because it's constantly evolving from lots of different angles.
Oh, yeah. And in 2025, the online risks go way beyond cyberbullying now. We're talking misinformation, conspiracy theories, and the misuse of generative AI. So, you know, DSLs, they must ensure filtering and monitoring systems are up to date and check that they align with the DfE's guidance on technology in schools. Cyber resistance, you know, is as much a safeguarding issue as anything else now.
Yeah, and in building that resilience, so there's another key member or members of staff that the JSL should be liaising with, and that is whoever is managing your management information systems in school, your online systems in school, because they'll be handling things very much from a kind of technology viewpoint. And it's really important to get that safeguarding view built into that, isn't it?
Definitely.
So what about attendance, Sarah?
Well, poor attendance is often a first signs of a deeper issue. So the DfE guidance working together to improve school attendance makes it clear DSL should be analysing absence patterns from the very first weeks and working closely with attendance and inclusion teams. And just today or yesterday, the government has released updated guidance on children who are permanently, persistently absent. So I know we've got an article coming out about that, Sam, which I think is really important for schools to be aware of.
Okay, we'll look out for that one. What about site safety, Sarah? Because I know, from having worked with many, many schools on safeguarding, site safety is, it's another big area to look at.
Absolutely. And it falls under that umbrella, of safeguarding. So DSLs, they should audit visit management and access controls, evacuation procedures, evacuation lockdown, and site safety with premises staff. And for external providers, I think it's really important that it can easily be missed off, such as after school clubs or visiting specialists. You must verify DBS checks and safeguarding policies, and that consistency is really crucial.
And again, I would take that one step further in that I would be looking to be, if the school's not directly delivering those after school clubs and out, out of school, if you are working with a service provider as part of that service level agreement, I would want to know what level of training the staff that will be delivering services, whether they understand what working in regulated activity means, whether ensuring that they know there is a legal requirement that even though something is happening outside school, if it's been delivered on school premises, the DSL has to be informed if there's any serious concern, things like that. It can't be left to the provider to take that full responsibility. The guidance is quite clear on that. So I think that is a common place when schools do strive to think of everything, but it's a common area where things go wrong, and it's usually to do with that connection between school and between the provider. And it's just that those things in the initial setting up and agreements, they've just not been robust enough. So what about health and well-being?
Well, I think that's really important at the beginning of the year to really look at those individual healthcare plans, and they need to be reviewed. And I think risk assessments refreshed, things that cover things like medical needs, behaviour risks, and vulnerable circumstances. You want absolute confidence, I think, that the school can meet those children's needs safely. So it's a good time to review all those, particularly around medicine and well-being. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm presuming, alternative provision as well.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, where pupils are placed in alternative provision, the DSLs must check that safeguarding is robust and review those placements at least half termly. If it's something, if something isn't safe, you've got to act. They're still your children, even if they're placed in alternative provisions. So it's really important that you check for those robust procedures in place.
Yeah, and that was something that they really highlighted in this year's revision of KCSIE, wasn't it?
Very much so, yeah.
It must be at least, and they deliberately, they didn't say half termly, they said at least half termly. Because the implication of that is the expectation is that it will be happening with some audit of regular contact.
Yeah.
And of course, underpinning all of this is good record keeping.
Absolutely. Child protection files should be audited for clarity, and transfer of files, when pupils join or leave, it must happen within 5 days. That's, clearly stated. And that continuity of safeguarding is non-negotiable.
Yeah. So, we've tried to focus on the key things here, and it is just the key things because there are a lot of other things. There's a lot to juggle here. So how do DSLs keep it manageable?
Well, I think creating a structured half-term plan, a plan for that first half term would really help. So, for example, weeks 1 and 2, training, induction, contact with vulnerable pupils, and policy ratification. Weeks 2 and 3, multi-agency meetings and reviewing existing plans.
Yeah.
Weeks 3 and 4, site audits, external provider checks, healthcare plans and attendance reviews. Week 4 and 5, online safety checks and reinforcing safeguarding culture. And then weeks 5 and 6, reviewing alternative provision and carrying out a midterm safeguarding review. That sort of structures those things that really need to be done over that first half term.
Yeah, and that really breaks it down really quite clearly, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it stops you feeling overwhelmed, and it ensures that nothing important gets missed.
Absolutely. So in summary, starting a new year as a DSL is more than just ticking boxes. It's about making safeguarding visible, lived, and central to the school's culture. And I would say that if DSLs can get September right, that training, visibility, that early contact with vulnerable pupils and clear systems, then the rest of the year is then built on that strong foundation. So really the idea of putting this podcast together was really just to give a flavour and give you a kind of our essential guide really to starting that new academic year. And I would just say, DSLs out there, you're making a difference every day. It is a very, very demanding role. You can't do it in isolation. So please do try and link in with other DSLs in your area to get the support you need.